All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. So, when we think about the all-time greatest scorers, what names do we usually bring up? Michael Jordan, Kobe, KD. But what do you guys know about George Gervin? Usually when we talk about the all-time greatest scorers, his name does not get brought up as much as it should. George Gervin is a four-time scoring champion, which is only behind Michael Jordan, who has 10, Wilt Chamberlain that has 7, and he's tied with KD and Allen Iverson at number 3 for how many times he led the league in scoring. And when you look at his total points, if you include his ABA career combined with his NBA career, he scored 26,595 points, which is good for 17th all-time in NBA history, while also averaging exactly 25.1 points per game, which is good for 10th all-time on the all-time scoring average list. Now, of course, when we discuss the greatest scorers of all time, it's more than just how much you average or how much you score total. It's also about how efficient of a scorer you are. So even though George Gervin scored a lot of points and had a very good scoring average, he still maintained a shooting percentage of 50.4% in the regular season and 50.1% in the playoffs. So he wasn't just somebody that had to jack up a lot of shots to get his points. And since I brought up the playoffs, just to make this clear, George Gervin was not just a regular season player. In the playoffs, he did average 26.5 points per game, which is good for 11th all-time in NBA history. And when he first came into the league, he played for the ABA team called the Virginia Squires. And then he played for them for a season, and then into his second season, midway through, he was traded to the San Antonio Spurs, which at that time was an ABA team as well. But that team did not make the playoffs the year before. But in his first season there, he helped them to make it into the playoffs. And in the 12 seasons he played with San Antonio, they qualified to make the playoffs 11 times in a 12-season span. So not only was he an efficient scorer, but he had a great impact on his team as well in regards to helping them make it into the playoffs each year. So one of the most iconic moments in George Gervin's career was the way he was able to capture the scoring title in the 1978 season over fellow elite level wing player David Thompson. It came down to the very last game of the season. George Gervin was able to edge him out by 0.06 points per game. It was one of, if not the closest scoring race in NBA history. And David Thompson came out first, and he scored 73 points in his last game. And it looked as if he had the scoring title wrapped up. So George Gervin, he needed to score 59 points at least to capture the scoring title, which is not an easy task. You know, even as an elite level scorer, to go out and score 59 points was a tall task, but George Gervin was able to do it. And then some. He was able to drop 63 points in his last game that year to just barely capture the scoring title. And another elite feat that George Gervin was able to do in his career at the time, he had held the record for most points. By the time he retired, he had the record for most points in a quarter, which was 33 points. He was able to edge out Wilt Chamberlain, who had 32 points in the quarter, which was in the game he scored 100 points. Now, of course, that record has since been broken by Carmelo Anthony, and then Klay Thompson now has the record. But just to let you know how hot he could get, he was able to do that in just one quarter. He held that record for a long time, for well over 20 years. As a matter of fact, 30 years to be exact, because he did this in the same season that I just brought up about that scoring race between him and David Thompson. So that was in 1978, and Carmelo broke that in 2008. So the major downside to George Gervin's career, unfortunately for him, is that he was never able to capture a championship in his career, and he was never even able to advance past the second round of the playoffs. So that's the only thing he's really missing on his legacy overall. He was able to participate in 12 All-Star games, and in a 9-year span from 1974 all the way to 1983, he made the All-NBA team 9 consecutive years, and that would be 5 times on the first team and 4 times on the second team. So he still did have a very good career, and he should be in the argument or in that discussion all time for, greatest player that never won a chip, for what he was able to do individually as a player. But that's pretty much all for George Gervin. I wanted to highlight what he was able to do in his career as an elite level scorer. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. And once again, just as I put in the beginning of this video, please do follow me on Instagram at trademark with 5 underscores at the end. We go live every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time to discuss various sports topics. So I thank everybody again that subscribed to my channel. I appreciate all the love and support I've been getting thus far. Everybody have a blessed day. All glory be to God. Thank you again.